So the very first step to getting started with Git and GitHub is making sure that you have Git installed on your computer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my terminal. I'm going to write the command git space -v, and you can see here that Git is installed on my computer because I have a Git version. If Git was not installed on my computer, I would have an error saying Git command not found. If that's the case, we're going to go ahead and navigate over to git-scm.com/downloads, and you want to make sure to download the version for your computer or your machine. Next up is finding a repository that you want to fork and clone. But before I get started with that, what I always like to do is I like to make sure that my local repository or my local folder structure is set up such that it kind of mimics what's going on in the remote repository. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do ls, and I'm going to find that folder that I need to jump into. Okay, so I see that it's listed out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say cd blank tab enter, and now I'm in this folder structure. Now I know that whenever I want to clone a repository, that is going to be right here in this folder the way that I want it. Okay, so let's go ahead and fork this repository. We're going to press the down arrow, and then we're going to create a new fork. And it has my name and the repository name, and we're going to go ahead and create the fork. When we create the fork, you'll notice that it has my name /blank origin, and the repository is going to show up right down here. And now we can git clone this repository to our system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on code. I'm going to copy the name, the repository name, and now that we have git installed on our machine, we can do this command, git clone space and then the repository name. You can see now that the folder or the repository is locally downloaded on our machine. So we're going to cd into that blank origin repository. Perfect. And now we can see that all of our files show up in that repository, and that's exactly what we want. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to our IDE, and if you have Visual Studio Code, I'm going to show you a quick way to do this. So if I open a new window, and if I press Command-Shift-P, you're going to see this new line with a little thing here open up. And what we want to do is we want to install the code command. And what that'll allow you to do is when you're in this repository on your terminal, you can write the word code space dot, and that'll open up the repository for you in VS Code. I have a couple of extensions installed here, one of them being Live Server, and that'll just serve up these static web pages for you. The other extension that I want you to download is GitLens, GitLens/supercharged. And I'm going to show you how it works as we move through this tutorial, but this is really helpful in having that second visual when I'm working in the terminal. So now that we have the repository cloned on our machine, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to right click over here and I'm going to say open with Live Server. And you can see now that we have the repository and it works great. Hello, my name is Thomas. Welcome to Git 101. This is a test repository. Like and subscribe for more videos like this. Perfect. Let's go back to our index.html. We're going to go ahead and open up our terminal. So we're going to say new terminal, and I'm going to go ahead and make a change to this HTML file. So my change is welcome to Git 101. My name is Thomas. I'm going to save that. And we're going to come over here to this source control view. And you can see here that I have one change. I'm going to show you the git commands first. If I were to go through and say git add period, you'll see that that file moves to now stage changes. So git add space dot stages your repository, stages any changes that you've made to any of your directories, and it's going to push that up once you go through these commands. So the next thing that you're going to do is git commit m. The first M is the title of your commit. The second is the body of the initial commit. I'm going to press enter. You'll see here now that I can sync that one change. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and git push. And if this is your first time, sometimes it'll pop up a little note like, hey, you got to make sure that the origin is for R. Thomas Gonzalez or whatever your name is. And then from there, you can command click, and that'll open up the repository. And you can see here that the initial commit is what we just pushed up. And you can see that it's showing now in the Git repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open back up our Visual Studio Code. I'm going to make another change and I'm going to erase the name. I'm going to save that file. You can see that it's saved now, and there's some changes to be made. But instead of using the command line, I'm going to go ahead and use the source control to do all of this for me, get lens extension. So I'm going to press plus. Now I have a stage commit. I'm going to go ahead and enter a message. Then I'm going to commit it. And now you can see we're back at that one stage where we have sync changes. And you can see that we have a little thumbnail pop up, push one commit to origin main. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button. I'm going to say yes, okay. And then the next commit that we see on our version control, if we come back over here, you'll see that we've now removed the name from the sentence. So now let's say that we do want to contribute to the repository of the organization. What we can do is press this 2 commits ahead, and we can create a pull request. And in the pull request, we can add a title and a description, and we can create the pull request. So let's say that we added a name, then erased it. Description in the title. We're going to go ahead and create the pull request. Going back to blank origin organization's repository of blank origin, you can see here that none of the commits that we did on our local machine have taken effect on that organization's repository. However, there is a pull request here saying added a name, then erased it. And this pull request or commit was opened by R. Thomas Gonzalez. Whoever maintains this organization's repository can then go through and say, oh, this actually looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and merge that pull request. So today I taught you how to fork and clone an organization's repository onto your local machine and onto your personal GitHub profile. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, with that being said, have a great day and a great rest of your week.